Good morning, Canada. Welcome back to another episode of Question Period. Today is September 22nd, 2022, and the news cycle is not that good today. There's a lot of crazy stuff happening, a lot of geopolitics that are unraveling itself. Tensions are high with America, between Canada and America, given the fact that Mark Carney decided to recognize Palestine as a state, even though President Trump said, hey, don't do that. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. So we're going to take a look at a lot of this news before we get into question period, because we do have some time. I just want to make sure that I did hit the right button and that we are live. So I'm going to wait a moment here. I think I got it figured out, though. I don't know. I'm a little sick, so I'm a little loopy. Yeah, we're good. All right. All I ask is that you guys hit the like button and subscribe. That's it. It's free to do. It's free to do. There's a lot of stuff going on. Most of it is in America. We are going to be taking a look at kind of what just happened yesterday with Charlie Kirk's funeral, with Elon Musk and Trump. The White House is doing a massive press conference right now, so we're going to tune into that. Carney did a not so massive speech with a council on foreign relations. Who gives a shit? Like, I don't know. Canada is just so... What's the word? What am I looking for? Gay? Is that the right word? So we're going to take a look at a lot of things. And none of it is that good for Canada. Surprise, surprise, though. We do have... There they are. Friends reuniting. I'm just going to mute that music there for a second. And so they had a little catch up. And it was nice. And this was a long-awaited reunion, right? These two had a really big public falling out, and here they are touching hands again. This was good, right? U.S. President Trump and Tesla CEO Elon Musk have reunited at Charlie Kirk's memorial following a months-long feud between the two of them. And in fact, the backstory behind this is actually explained by Benny Johnson. Here we go.
If we don't hang together, we will surely hang separately, which is exactly what Elon Musk told me. So backstage, Elon Musk embraces Erica Kirk, and she's crying in his arms, and they're hugging, and it's really profound. This was after the speeches. This was after the program. And this is the words that Elon Musk said to us in this small little group with Erica Kirk. And he said, this is why I was proud to sit with my president. That's what he called Trump, my president today. He accepted Trump's invitation to go up there, and the majority of the event Elon Musk sent sitting there with Donald Trump, chewing it up. Everyone can see here's the photos of Elon embracing Erica, and then there are photos of...
Do we not have audio? What's going on here? Fix your audio. My audio is fine. I have audio, but it's laggy. Huh. Are we good now? It's laggy. Not working, people are saying. Let's try this again. Let's try this. Testing. I hear you just fine. Fine here. Refresh. Yeah, I think you just got to close your YouTube app and boot it back up again. Because I'm hearing it fine on my phone. But I also did hear... Testing. Okay. Okay, let's go back to what Benny Johnson was saying here.
If we don't hang together, we will surely hang separately, which is exactly what Elon Musk told me. So backstage, Elon Musk embraces Erica Kirk, and she's crying in his arms, and they're hugging, and it's really profound. This was after the speeches. This was after the program. And this is the words that Elon Musk said to us in this small little group with Erica Kirk. And he said, this is why I was proud to sit with my president. This is what he called Trump, my president today. He accepted Trump's invitation to go up there, and the majority of the event Elon Musk sent sitting there with Donald Trump, chewing it up. Everyone can see here's the photos of Elon embracing Erica, and then there are photos of Elon with Trump, and they seem to be having a great time. Dana White also there. What a not only was the size and scope of this and the peacefulness of it a profound eulogy for Charlie and his memory, but the cornerstone of it all, to unite the world's most powerful, richest private civilian with the world's most powerful public figure, Donald Trump. Charlie said in this chair right here, he hoped that it happened. There's a clip that went viral yesterday. Charlie saying, I pray that Elon Musk and Donald Trump reconcile. And they did so at Charlie's funeral in Charlie's memory.
I mean, that's pretty poetic within itself, right? That's pretty poetic. The fact that Charlie Kirk was literally saying, I hope they reconcile. I hope it happens. And then this happened. They reconciled at Charlie Kirk's funeral. Obviously, it's a tragedy what has taken place, but it is waking up a lot of people, and it is helping a lot of things heal, right? And so we're just gonna have to see how this does play out. Elon Musk, though, has been way more vocal about certain things, specifically religion. Here's something that he said not too long ago.
I do believe that the teachings of Jesus are good and wise, and that there's tremendous wisdom in turn the other cheek. And for a while there, when I was saying, I thought, well, that's really a weak thing. And with respect to bullies at school, I think you shouldn't turn the other cheek. You should punch them on the nose, and then thereafter make peace with them. But they need to stop bullying you, and a punch in the nose will stop that. And then thereafter, make peace. This notion of forgiveness is important. I think it's essential because if you don't forgive, then but an eye for an eye makes everyone blind. I do believe.
Wow, eh? My goodness. More and more people are waking up to religion. I mean, even for myself, right? Charlie Kirk was the reason that I started taking my family to church. And so, I mean, it's just phenomenal. I think that you're going to start to see a massive rise in Christianity in the West like we've never seen before. In terms of the White House, what they were just saying about this, well, this is the first press briefing that they've done since Charlie Kirk's murder. Let's have a look here, because this is pretty interesting. Lots has happened. A lot has happened, and a lot gets addressed in this press briefing.
American people can expect further, very strong action on this very soon. Everyone, Republican, Democrat, everyone in between, we all deserve to live in a country where we do not have to fear for our lives simply for stating what we believe in. With that, I will take your question. In today's new media seat, we have Monica Page, who is the White House correspondent for Turning Point USA's news organization, on the front lines. Monica, thank you for being here. We're so sorry for the loss of Charlie. I know you work for him, you were very close to him, and we appreciate your being in the new media seat and also your commitment to covering the White House. You are here every day, just like the rest of everyone in this room. So why don't you kick us off today?
Thank you so much, Caroline. I don't think you realize how much it means to me to be here in this seat, especially on behalf of Turning Point USA and Frontlines. We greatly appreciate it. We also greatly appreciate the outpouring of support and just really kind words that we heard yesterday at the memorial service. That means more to us than I don't think anybody ever knows. And even the global support that we're seeing for Charlie has been overwhelming, and it doesn't go unnoticed. So thank you so much. I have 3 questions, if I may, on the horrific murder of Charlie Kirk. Government and local officials said that Antifa inscriptions were engraved in these bullet casings that killed Charlie Kirk. It appears to be a trend, especially after what we saw in the Annunciation church shooting, Catholic church shooting. Additionally, Stephen Miller recently commented on the rise in this kind of violence, saying there is a domestic terrorist movement growing in this country. The president is designating Antifa as a domestic terrorist organization. I'm wondering, what is the approach to holding these people accountable, just to ensure that violence like this just is eradicated moving forward?
By the way, this is something that Canada should be following suit on, yet Canada is not. I don't know what Canada's problem is when it comes to this stuff, but for some reason, Canada is like super pro terrorist organization. Canada does not take the appropriate steps to basically put an end to terrorism and terrorist organizations in the country. It's gross. America doesn't hold back.
Sure. Well, Antifa is going to be designated a domestic terrorist organization. The president intends to sign that executive order very soon as it's drafted, as soon as today, later this afternoon.
Wow.
And this is something the president campaigned on because we have seen a rise in violence perpetuated by Antifa radical people across this country who subscribe to this group. And unfortunately, it's gone widely uncovered by many in the legacy media. It also went completely ignored by the previous administration. Not anymore. Not only, as you mentioned, were the bullet casings subscribed with Antifa mottos, if you will, in the heinous assassination of Charlie, but there have also been more examples than I could read off for you here in this briefing room today of violence from Antifa. I will just read a few. In July 2025, several members of an Antifa cell ambushed and opened fire on officers at an ICE facility in Alvarado, Texas, shooting one officer in the neck. Also in July 2025, 3 Antifa members were charged with assaulting a police officer during a violent riot outside an ICE facility in Portland, which for weeks prior had been under siege from the local Antifa terror cell. In February 2024, a transgender Antifa terrorist detonated an explosive device outside of the office of the Republican Attorney General of Alabama.
Crap.
In July 2023, Antifa members linked to abortionist group Jane's Revenge firebombed pro-life facilities and vandalized churches. In January 2022, a suspected Antifa member was arrested for bringing a pipe bomb to a pro-Trump event. In January 2021, an Antifa supporter threatened to shoot police officers and Trump supporters outside of the Florida State Capitol building. Again, I could continue to list many more examples for those in the room who don't believe this is a serious threat to American safety and our national security, but this administration knows that it is. That's why the president will be signing this order. And we will also be, most importantly, looking at who is funding Antifa and who is funding these other violent left-wing groups that we've seen perpetuate so much crime and mayhem across our country.
Thank you. And
Keep in mind, a lot of crime and like this, right? A lot of things like this, they actually get swept under the rug. The amount of crime that takes place that actually makes it into the media or into the newspaper is so minor, man. I used to work for an organization, let's call it, and I was on the end of the information side of things, where I would be privy to all of the knowledge of things that would happen, like in Toronto. All the crime that would happen in Toronto that would be reported to the police, I would be privy of. And I would know all of that information. And the next morning, I would see a fraction of it would get actually posted in the media. There was a call that I had to take one time, okay? I had to report this. Like, it was just insane. Somebody went downtown Toronto with a silent submachine gun and started shooting at a bunch of buildings, like storefronts. Never made the media. So if you're wondering why Antifa is actually being listed as a terrorist organization, that's because they're obviously doing things that are classified as domestic terrorism. And Canada should be following suit. It's unethical. It's irresponsible for Canada not to list a group as domestic terrorists that America is doing. So that means that they can just, find safe harbor in Canada now? They can just hop over the border and be like, haha, you can't get us because we're not domestic terrorists here. Like, it's just so bizarre, man. Canada's such a weird place. I like what America's doing. They're not messing around.
Charlie Kirk died exercising his First Amendment right, willingly debating, conversing with everybody and anybody. That was what he did. So what message does this White House have now to all Americans who feel like they are too afraid to express their beliefs, their values, their morals in the wake of such horrific violence?
I think the president has answered this, and I will leave it to his response, Monica, where he so beautifully said, we have to keep fighting. We have to keep speaking up. We have to keep speaking our mind. I know that's what Charlie would want us to do, and we have a right to free speech in this country. The president supports it. It is protected by our beautiful Constitution, and Americans should not cower in fear. They should rise up in courage to continue speaking the truth.
And to end on a lighter note, Caroline, I'd love to know what your favorite memory of Charlie is.
Sure. Charlie was a great guy, and he was, of course, a very influential person in the conservative movement, in the MAGA movement. He was so helpful to the president during the campaign and to all of us who worked on that campaign, that historic campaign. I myself had many great memories going on Charlie's amazing podcast and his show. He was always willing to text people with words of encouragement. In fact, my last text exchange with him was the day before he died, and he was asking for my husband and I's address to send a children's book to our son. And I think that just speaks to the type of person that he was. And I know so many of us here at the White House are going to miss him.
Thank you
very
for
much.
sharing that.
Thank you. Gabe.
Caroline, thank you. Regarding the autism announcement,
Sure.
Why now? Does the administration have new data that hasn't been published previously showing a possible link between acetaminophen and autism?
I know there's been many reports about what this announcement at 4 o'clock will be, Gabe. The president is very excited about this, so I don't want to scoop the president of the United States and our Secretary of Health and Human Services, but what I can assure you is that Robert F. Kennedy and the incredible health team that this president has put together are really viewing things in a much different lens, and they are paying attention to studies and the gold standard of science and research that many in this city for far too long have turned a blind eye to. So I think Americans are going to be enlightened and proud of what they hear later this afternoon, but I won't get ahead of the president on exactly what that announcement entails.
On a different topic.
So they're going to be announcing very, very soon what they think is causing, or what they think one of the causes are for autism. There's potential that it would be Tylenol. I'm not too sure about that one. I've seen that kind of rumored around online, but this is going to be pretty groundbreaking.
Going back to the president's social media post from over the weekend regarding the DOJ and his seeming frustration that they hadn't taken action quickly enough. I want to point to something that the president said during his inaugural address. Never again will the immense power of the state be weaponized to persecute political opponents. We will not allow that to happen. Is the president going back on his promise?
No. In fact, the president is fulfilling his promise to restore a Department of Justice that demands accountability. And it is not weaponizing the Department of Justice to demand accountability for those who weaponized the Department of Justice. And nobody knows what that looks like more than President Trump. We are not going to tolerate gaslighting from anyone in the media or from anyone on the other side who is trying to say that it's the president who is weaponizing the DOJ. It was Joe Biden and his attorney general who weaponized the DOJ. Joe Biden used this sacred American institution to go after his political opponent in the middle of an election year. And you look at people like Adam Schiff and like James Comey and like Letitia James, who the president is rightfully frustrated. He wants accountability for these
so
corrupt fraudsters who abused their power, who abused their oath of office to target the former president and then candidate for the highest office in the land. And I think the president is reaffirmed in those frustrations and his hope for accountability by the millions and millions of people who reelected him to this office with a mandate to demand accountability. And the president has not been shy about this, Gabe. In fact, when he traveled to the Department of Justice earlier this year, all of you were there to cover it. He said, quote, "I demand a full and complete accountability for wrongs and abuses that have occurred. The American people gave a mandate to investigate and root the corruption out of our system," and that's what the president wants to see done.
Yeah.
Caroline.
Ed.
On the autism issue again.
America's
there
back,
are
baby. I like this.
Reams of scientific research that suggests there's no clear link between autism and acetaminophen usage. You're suggesting today they may have no information on this. A lot of it, and this entire debate, has the potential to confuse women, especially pregnant women, about what to do. What do you say to those that say what you're doing today potentially just introduces more confusion into the debate.
I think women for many years, in fact for decades, Ed, have been confused by the rapid increase in autism in this country, in the childhood epidemic that is chronic epidemic, disease epidemic that is plaguing America's youth. Women are confused about that and they want answers to that. And that's exactly what this administration is focused on finding. And before you jump to conclusions based on reports that the White House has not even confirmed, I would encourage everyone in this room to go into the 4 o'clock announcement with some critical thinking skills and with some open ears to actually listen to what the president and his team of outsiders have to say about this. And there will be a number of things that will be announced and discussed. And I think, I know as a mother myself, I speak, I believe, for many mothers across the country who really want answers to what is happening to our nation's children. So again, I won't get ahead of the president, but I think everyone in this room needs to tone down the judgment before you even hear what people are going to say.
Wow.
Sure.
Thanks, Caroline. So two on the Holman investigation. I mean, can you just speak to, did the president ask the Justice Department to close the case, and does Holman have to return the $50,000?
Well, Mr. Holman never took the $50,000 that you're referring to, so you should get your facts straight, number one. Number two, this was another example of the weaponization of the Biden Department of Justice against one of President Trump's strongest and most vocal supporters in the midst of a presidential campaign. You had FBI agents going undercover to try and entrap one of the president's top allies and supporters, someone who they knew very well would be taking a government position months later. Mr. Holman did absolutely nothing wrong, and even the president's Department of Justice, even Kash Patel's FBI, looked into this just to make sure. They had a number of different prosecutors and FBI agents who looked into this. They found zero evidence of illegal activity or criminal wrongdoing. In the White House and the president stand by Tom Holman 100% because he did absolutely nothing wrong, and he is a brave public servant who has done a phenomenal job in helping the president shut down the border. Mary.
Thanks.
She doesn't take no crap from no reporters. I love this. I love the fact that America just says and does it, you know? It's awesome. Oh my goodness. So much better than Canada.
Caroline, I have two questions on far-left violence.
Sure.
The first one, the president said yesterday that the bullet hit Charlie, but it was aimed at every one of us. Do you and your colleagues have a heightened sense of fear following this shooting and this far-left violence we're seeing across the country?
I certainly think there's a heightened sense of awareness by conservatives across the country, by all of us here at the White House. Again, as I said to Monica, many of us were personal friends with Charlie and had involvement with Turning Point before we came and served our government in this way. So certainly it's a very shocking incident, and I think, you know, it's very unfortunate that those of us who work in this movement have to think about violence just for speaking our minds and for supporting President Trump.
And as a follow-up on that, I asked the president last night on Air Force One about this pattern of transgender violence we're seeing. You know, Charlie's killer lived with his boyfriend who identifies as transgender, and then we had the Annunciation shooting, the Covenant shooting, all of these incidents. The president said that we're looking into transgender violence. Does that mean the FBI is looking into it? And can you give any more clarity on how the administration is viewing this uptick in specifically transgender violence?
It's definitely something worth looking into, and I think anyone who denies that at this point is being willfully ignorant. And the administration is taking it seriously, all causes of violence, and why these people would be driven to such evil and such hatred. And there's probably many answers to that question, but the administration is really focused on all of them. For individual investigations and cases, of course, the FBI and the Department of Justice are leading those. But as for this overall violence and domestic terrorism that we're seeing, the White House and the president's policy team will be leading the charge, and that really begins with designating Antifa as a domestic terrorist organization. And I can assure you there will be additional actions to come.
Sure.
They're going to shut it down. That's the, you can already see the direction that this is going in by specifically talking about all the transgenderism violence that's taking place. They're going to end up shutting down all the transgender facilities or whatever the hell. They're going to ban those types of procedures from taking place in America. I believe that's the direction I'm seeing this. That's interesting. America's taking a really hard stance against it. They want to get rid of all this domestic terrorism crap that's been going on. Can't blame them. Can't blame them. Moving in the right direction, right? Whereas Canada's like, oh, hey, come on. You're being prosecuted in your country because you're a terrorist? Come on over here. We'll let you in. So bizarre.
Thanks, Caroline. Liz Landers with PBS NewsHour. I just wanted to follow up quickly on something that the president had said yesterday. So we heard from Erica Kirk. She said she forgives the man who shot and killed her husband. And then right after that, we heard from the president who said, I hate my opponent and I don't want the best for them. How does that square with bringing down the temperature of political violence in this country? And then, if I could, I had a follow-up on Venezuela, too.
Look, the president is authentically himself. I think that's why millions of Americans across the country love him and support him, including Erica Kirk, who you saw so beautifully was on stage with the president in an unthinkable moment, in the midst of an unthinkable tragedy, and was leaning on the president for support during that time. And he was there to give it to her, as well as the vice president and many other top-ranking cabinet officials. Kayla.
Thanks, Caroline. On TikTok, the deal. How much is the deal? And if you can't give an exact number to how much the deal is, when can we expect to learn how much the deal is being valued at? And then separately, who are the members involved in the deal? Like, can you share any more details there?
So I don't have a specific number for you, nor am I going to confirm the specific individuals and entities in the deal, Kayla, but I do have several details I'm happy to run through for all of you, and the president will be signing the deal, the official deal, later this week at some point. Under the terms of this deal, TikTok will be owned by a majority of American investors and controlled by a board of directors with extensive national security and cybersecurity credentials. In partnership with the U.S. government, Oracle will serve as TikTok's trusted security provider, and they will independently monitor the safety and data security of all U.S. user data on TikTok's platform.
I'm surprised they didn't go with Palantir, because Palantir's kind of the preferred national security company right now, right? Making huge waves. I'm surprised they went with Oracle instead of Palantir.
Americans' data will be stored securely in the United States without access from China. All U.S. user data will be stored on servers operated by Oracle in the United States, protected from surveillance or interference by foreign adversaries. And the algorithm, I know this is a question many of you have had, will be secured, retrained, and operated in the United States outside of ByteDance's control. And TikTok will remain globally interoperable, meaning TikTok users in the U.S. will be able to see videos posted by users in other countries and vice versa. While I don't have a number on the specific deal, we do expect that thanks to the president's leadership and the securement of this historic deal, businesses using TikTok will generate as much as $178 billion in economic activity within the U.S. over the next 4 years. So this is great news, not just for the millions of American youth who use TikTok. Their data will be safe and secure with this new deal. They'll continue to use this very fun app, but it's also great news for all of the small business owners who have really been able to make a living off of the use of TikTok as well.
And if I could just get one more as it relates to China. On crop prices with farmers, as there's still no official trade deal with China, farmers are getting a little bit antsy navigating prices being weak and not strong. How is the administration, thinking about farmers right now? Is there anything we can expect to see from the administration on, sort of bailing farmers out should prices continue to not work in their favor?
Well, the administration is completely understands the anxiety of farmers. We're very much aware of this issue. It has been a part of our discussions, the trade team's discussions with their Chinese counterparts. As for any specific actions, I don't have any news on that for you today, but I can fully assure you the entire National Economic Council in this building, as well as our Secretary of Agriculture, Brooke Rollins, have been talking with the trade team about this. There's been many meetings on this, and they are on the ball, but I don't have anything specific for you today. Sure, Selena.
So here's the difference, right? Here's the fundamental difference between Canada and America. You see how we're all captivated by what she's saying, by what Carolyn Levitt's saying, right? Man, she's just killing it. I think she's younger than me, and I look at myself in the mirror, and I'm like, what the heck? She looks like an adult, like a real adult, nice clothes. And here I am, $9 shirts from Walmart. My goodness, man, what the heck am I doing? I got to step it up. But we listen to American news and we're like, okay. Whether you like Trump, whether you don't like Trump, whatever. You listen to it and you're like, okay, this is what's happening. This is the world speaking. And then we take a look at what Canada's doing. And this is the fundamental difference. Just remember how moments ago, You were captivated by what Carolyn Levitt was saying. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Wow. Okay. This is great. Let's see if you still feel the same way.
And I'll start by admitting up front that we prospered under the old system. We would like the old system back. We have the old system back. Is that going to happen? We prospered under the old system, and we were able to pursue a values-based foreign policy based on or anchored on a rules-based multilateral trading system, an open global financial system. We had collective security anchored in NATO. Our geography, which hasn't changed, but the facts around the geography have changed. We had enviable geography. It gave us privileged access to the world's largest and most dynamic economy, and it distanced us from the major state and non-state threats. We also subscribe to an expectation.
You see the difference? You see the difference, guys? Holy crap, man. All right, don't take it out on me. Don't take it out on me. Before we get into it, before we get into question period, all I ask, ladies and gentlemen, all I ask is for you guys to hit the like button on the stream. How many likes do we currently have on the stream? Let's see if we can double it, right? There's like 2,000 people watching. That's all I ask. There's like 400 or 500 likes. Let's see if we can get closer to 1,000 likes. So whether you're on your TV, take your remote, go to the like button. If you're on your phone, tablet, whatever, go hit the like button, and we're going to start to get ready for question period. I know it's not American news. I know it's fundamentally different in every single way, but that's what this channel is. This is the question period channel. If you guys want me to start streaming American news, let me know. And I'll do that on Mr. Sunshine. I'll do that on the main channel. That one's already kind of going in an American direction anyways. But here we go. Question period, ladies and gentlemen. Hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't yet already. And let's get locked into this debate, huh? Here we go.
To recognize the contributions of Canada's skilled tradespeople who build our homes, our infrastructure, and our future. From ironworkers to welders, from electricians to painters, and all the apprentices starting their careers, they are the backbone of our economy. Through our government's focus on major projects, we're creating more opportunities for Canadians to train, to work, and to build lasting careers in the trades. Our government knows that investing in training is investing in Canadians' future. By investing in apprenticeships and training, we're ensuring young people can enter these professions and experienced workers can keep their skills sharp. These investments are not just strengthening our workforce, they're strengthening our communities and ensuring Canada remains competitive on the world stage. Mr. Speaker, Canada has always been a nation of builders, and with the dedication of our unionized workforce, I'm confident we will continue building a stronger and more prosperous future for all Canadians. Thank you.
The honourable member for Cambridge.
Mr. Speaker, I recently got an email from a senior in Cambridge. She told me about her trip to the grocery store. She paid over $47 for a few basic items that would only last a few days. She's not asking for luxuries,
$77 for milk, eggs, bread,
the Prime
Tylenol, and
Minister
Advil.
promised to create the fastest growing economy in the G7, but he delivered the fastest shrinking one instead. There used to be a guarantee in Canada that if you worked hard, saved up, got a good job, you'd be all set. But after 10 years of Liberal government, Canadians are worse off. According to Food Bank Canada, more than a quarter of all Canadians are facing food insecurity. Wow. The Prime Minister asked us to judge him on the cost of the grocery store, and Canadians are. With every $100 grocery bill, he gets a failing grade. I have a message for this Prime Minister on behalf of the 5,000 people of Cambridge using a food bank and the thousands more going hungry every day. Stop punishing them with high taxes and high inflation. When will the Prime Minister start giving Canadians full plates instead of empty promises?
The honourable member for Rimouski-Lamatipédia. Mr. Speaker, I warmly congratulate Professor Yves Gingras, historian and sociologist at the University of Quebec in Montreal, and winner of the 2024 Science and Secularism Award, presented in Paris during the 18th ceremony of the Comité Laïcité et République. The award highlights Professor Gingras' commitment to distinguishing between scientific knowledge and beliefs, as illustrated in his book on the impossible dialogue, science and religion. As director of the Observatory of Science and Technology, Yves Gingras embodies intellectual rigor and critical thinking. a member of the Order of Quebec and recipient of the prestigious Léon Guérin Prize. He has been defending the separation between knowledge and faith for over 40 years. His fight is vital for science, secularism, and democracy, reminding us that science is universal and transcends borders. On behalf of the Bloc, I offer him our most sincere congratulations.
The honourable member for Winnipeg South Centre.
Mr. Speaker, some of my fondest childhood memories include Jewish holiday dinners around the table with relatives, laughing, eating traditional foods, and sharing a sense of collective pride in knowing that we were honouring our ancestors and building a stronger community for the future. I can still hear my father's booming voice and the sight of his contagious smile as he eagerly greeted family as they entered our home. These gatherings meant so much to him, as they do to me. Sundown tonight will mark the beginning of Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year. Although there will be cherished moments together this evening for Jews across our country, the joy of a new year will be accompanied by fear and anxiety, worsened by increasing anti-Semitism that has found an emboldened place in our country. Despite the hate that they continue to face, Jews in Canada will, as we have for thousands of years, continue to persevere. On the eve of this new year, I am proud to stand as a Jew in this chamber to wish the community a Shana Tova. May the upcoming year be filled with peace, joy, and the prospect of a brighter future. Thank you.
The honourable member for Algonquin, Renfrew, Pembroke.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister is a carnival barker. He promises you can win the prize while he rigs the game. He promised the fastest growing economy in the G7. Instead, he gave us a shrinking economy and the second highest unemployment rate in the G7. He promised affordability, but gave us higher food prices. He promised to get more homes built, but gave us a phony housing announcement in a front of fake homes. He promised nation-building projects would be built at impossible speeds, but he hasn't issued a single permit. He promised elbows up, but he tucked his tail in and ran. He said we'd have a deal by July 21st, but all he's done is surrender on every issue. If this was a school, he'd get a failing grade. If this was a business, he'd be fired. But this is the Liberal Party, so he keeps surprise.
The honourable member for Mississauga East Cooksville.
Every time we purchase something made, grown, or produced here at home, we're supporting our neighbors, strengthening our communities, and investing in Canada's future. Here in Mississauga, we have so much to be proud of, from the chicken we serve our families, to the chocolate bars we love, to the planes that connect us to the world. Companies like Maple Lodge Farms, Magna, and our aerospace innovators, keeping thousands of local people working. Some sectors are being hard hit by tariffs and trade disruptions. That's why our Liberal government is stepping up to help, making sure that Canadian industries get the backing they need to stay competitive. Canada's government will be Canada's #1 customer with a clear commitment to supporting Canadian businesses. So next time you shop for groceries, furniture, or a vehicle, look for the Maple Leaf, choose Canadian. Together we can protect jobs, grow our economy, and keep Mississauga and Canada strong. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Ponoka-Didsbury.
In the speech from the throne, this so-called new Liberal government claimed that they would tackle crime while protecting the rights of law-abiding gun owners. It was a staggering admission of failure by a government that saw illegal gun crime skyrocket by 130%. Since then, they have shown that they are no different than the last Liberal government. Not only will they spend 4 times as much money to harass legal gun owners and criminals and gangs, but they have doubled down on their promise to finish their gun grab within the year. In an astonishing turn of events, both the Prime Minister and his Public Safety Minister have now said that their gun grab will be voluntary. But now in a leaked audio clip, the Public Safety Minister was caught saying that Canadians would never get arrested if they didn't turn in their now prohibited guns. Is the minister suggesting that gun owners follow gun laws the same way the last Liberal Prime Minister followed ethics laws? Does the Prime Minister and the Public Safety Minister realize that it's a crime to counsel people to not follow the law?
The honourable member for Rivière-des-Mille-Îles. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On this first day of Gender Equality Week, it's our duty to face the facts. In Canada, A woman or girl is killed every 48 hours, most often by an intimate partner or ex. These femicides are not isolated incidents.
If you're so worried about the killings, then why did you allow
an imbalance of power and
Kearney
misogyny
to recognize
that, far from
Palestine
disappearing,
as
is
a
making
state?
a strong comeback, sometimes even unapologetically? We thought we had made irreversible progress, yet the setbacks are very real. Gender equality begins with a fundamental right, the right to live without fear. I pay tribute to the survivors, to the frontline organizations, the shelters, and all those who fight against gender-based violence. In the face of this resurgence of hatred, we must name, condemn, and act. Equality cannot be achieved by decree. It must be defended every day.
Ignoring the massacre of 8 Canadians on October 7th, siding with their killers, dehumanizing their families, the hostages still held, and over 1,200 stolen souls is evil. Granting a state to those who practice state terror as statecraft, who pay pensions for murdering Jews, is evil. Not requiring the state to even recognize Israel's right to exist is evil. None of their conditions were met. No election, no release of all hostages, no demilitarization of Hamas. Lying about these intentions is evil. Doing this on the eve of Rosh Hashanah, emboldening mobs and violence upon our Jewish communities, is evil. The fascism once buried in the last World War has risen again as modern terrorism. This isn't diplomacy, it's appeasement, it's betrayal. The Prime Minister has dispensed with human dignity and the rule of law. He's emboldened terror with the state. And Mr. Speaker, it is evil.
Yeah.
The honourable member for Brougham, Mr.
That's weird that Canada did this. So weird. Trump said don't do it, yet we did it anyways.
In Brougham, Mississauga, we have the Center for Innovation, which is the largest microelectronics and semiconductor research facility in the country. And I'd like to give a shout out to the CEO, whose visionary leadership has recently been recognized internationally. She received an award at the largest industrial salon in the world. This distinction reflects her commitment and her ability as an agent of change in an industry that's going through massive change. She's the G7 contact person for semiconductors and has positioned Canada as a key player in this strategic industry. We're very proud that she works in our region and makes Canada shine.
Leader of the Opposition.
Oral questions. Questions. Honorable Leader of the Opposition, Pierre Poilievre.
The Liberals are setting criminals free. They're wasting money. They are targeting sports shooters and recreational shooters who abide by the law. The Liberals have increased firearm-related crime by 30%. That we already knew. Yet the Minister of Public Safety accidentally revealed the truth and was recorded doing so. He said that confiscating the firearms of law-abiding firearm owners was a waste of money. Does the Prime Minister agree with his minister?
Wow.
Merci pour la question.
Thank you for the question.
Mr. Speaker, on Sunday I had a conversation with an individual that I've known for many years who recorded it without my knowledge and had it leaked to a gun lobbyist. In that conversation, Mr. Speaker, the subject of the assault-style firearms buyback compensation program was discussed. In trying to address this issue, Mr. Speaker, the individual's frustration, my comments were misguided. Having said that, Mr. Speaker, it's important to have the program in place is what Canadians are looking for. And I do want to note that the Leader of the Opposition has voted against every single gun measure.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Here we go, Pierre.
By freeing rampant gun criminals and wasting billions of dollars of police and border resources targeting law-abiding, licensed, trained, and tested firearms owners, this government has overseen a 130% increase in violent gun crime. But over the weekend, the Minister of Public Safety accidentally told the truth, and he was recorded doing it. He said that the gun grab is not worth the money, that it will go over budget, and it would be better just to lock up the criminals, but that they're going ahead with the bad policy because it's good politics. Does the Prime Minister agree?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, it's a good thing there's a recording of it so that Canadians can have a look for themselves.
Yeah, you got caught, buddy.
Let me be very clear, Mr. Speaker. Canadians want responsible gun control. They wanted it in 1989 after a man killed 14 women at École Polytechnique. They wanted it after 6 people were murdered at the Quebec City mosque shooting. And they wanted it after the biggest mass shooting in our history, where a man opened fire and killed 22 people in Nova Scotia. Mr. Speaker, why are the Conservatives against keeping guns off our streets?
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Speaker, the minister said that his gun grab won't work, that it will go over budget, and that it would be better to lock up criminals, as Conservatives have been suggesting, but that they're going ahead with the gun grab anyway because the Prime Minister wants to pursue electoral politics. Electoral politics, Mr. Speaker. When a mother is hit with a stray bullet, or a police officer is murdered by a firearm, or a bullet flies into a child's bedroom as part of an extortion case, we don't have time for politics. So why is this minister caught on tape playing politics with guns?
There you go.
The Honourable Minister of
We need
Public
more of
Safety.
that.
Mr. Speaker, in order to have a real conversation about crime, we need to have a real conversation about guns. Canadians want responsible gun control, Mr. Speaker. They wanted it in 1989 after a man killed 14 women at École Polytechnique. They wanted it after 6 people were murdered at the Quebec City mosque shooting, and they wanted it after the biggest mass shooting in our history, where a man opened fire and killed 22 people in Nova Scotia. Mr. Speaker, why are the Conservatives against keeping guns off our streets? And why has this leader of the opposition voted against every single gun control measure that he has been in Parliament for?
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
He's going to answer it right
The
now.
minister did have a real conversation about guns. Unfortunately for him, he was caught on tape. Caught on tape, admitting that the gun grab is a waste of money. Caught on tape, admitting it would go over budget. Caught on tape, admitting it would be better just to lock up the gun criminals who are actually doing the crime. Why is it that Liberals only tell the truth when they don't think anyone is listening?
There you go. There's the truth. Put some W's in the chat for that
let me
one.
reiterate, it's actually a good thing that this conversation was caught on tape. And in fact, it will counter every single claim that this leader of the opposition is making. Let me be very clear, Mr. Speaker. Canadians want responsible gun control. We are in a position as a government. We committed to it during the last campaign, Mr. Speaker. Canadians gave us a mandate on April the 28th to ensure that we move forward on this program, and we look forward to its implementation.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Speaker, while this government blocks criminal justice reforms that would lock up gun criminals, they want to go ahead and take nearly $1 billion away from border security and police officers to go after licensed, law-abiding, trained and tested hunters and sport shooters, a project that the OPP refuses to enforce. Numerous provincial governments have said they will not go ahead with. They've even had to ask Canada Post to go and collect these firearms. The minister himself has now admitted that it won't work. Why won't they drop the politics and save lives?
Yeah, there you go.
The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Stop lying on camera.
Mr. Speaker, if the member is concerned about advancing legislation that's actually going to keep Canadians safe, he would work across the aisle with us as we seek to table legislation during this legislative sitting to ensure that violent repeat offenders are kept behind bars, to make sure the most serious offenders are actually facing stiffer penalties. But, Mr. Speaker, it is hard to accept criticism when it comes to keeping our community safe from gun violence from a member who for more than 2 decades has voted against the very specific measures that are designed to take guns off our streets, and he has voted repeatedly on the measures that will weaken our border to prevent the inflow of guns in the first place.
Oh my God, he's such an annoying vet noodle.
I I and we have voted against policies that have given Canada a 130% increase in gun violence. And speaking of getting things through Parliament, he says seek to introduce. This government has been in place for 10 years. They have softened penalties for repeat offenders. That minister took the summer off and still has not introduced any criminal justice reforms to stop guns. We put forward a 3 strikes you're out law that would lock up the repeat violent offenders. Instead, they're spending $700 million of police resources going after licensed law-abiding people. Why?
Put some W's down in the chat for Pierre. This is what we wanted, folks. Pierre is back.
Mr. Speaker, I have news for my friend on the other side of the House of Commons. If he believes that I haven't moved forward with legislative efforts this sitting when it comes to criminal justice reform, I would have invited him to have shown up for work on Friday last week where we did that very thing. Mr. Speaker, he should look forward this fall sitting to seeing 2 additional pieces of criminal legislative reform. One on bail and sentencing that will make sure violent repeat offenders are not walking amongst our streets, and a second that will protect those who are at risk of intimate partner violence or at risk of being victimized by sexual offenses. And when it comes to the summer, I was meeting with law enforcement provincial counterparts. He was fighting for his job.
Well, that's a weird attack.
As the member knows, we cannot suggest that somebody was present or not in the House. I'm assuming he meant it in a very vague way, that it had something to do with, I don't know, something else. But I'll just give that warning to the member. L'honorable député de Saint-Jean.
The honourable member for Saint-Jean. Mr. Speaker, with its factum to the Supreme Court against Bill 21, Ottawa is basically bordering on conspiracy theory. By challenging state secularism, the Liberals are creating a slippery slope towards disaster scenarios such as banning places of worship. The Liberals even suggest that Quebec might reinstate slavery or executions. This speaks volumes about how Canadians view Quebec, Mr. Speaker. They say, don't give them too much parliamentary sovereignty. They're crazy enough to reestablish slavery. If the government wanted to tarnish Quebecers' reputation, it couldn't have done so better than through this factum. Will the government withdraw it? The Honourable Minister of Justice. Mr. Speaker, we are working towards the national interest. This matter is in the national interest, so the federal government must protect the Constitution. As the member knows full well, the Supreme Court of Canada is absolutely the right forum for this type of debate. The honourable member for Saint-Jean. Mr. Speaker, the federal government is attacking much more than secularism at the Supreme Court. They are also attacking Quebec's parliamentary sovereignty by amending the Constitution through the courts without debate. This is a power grab which goes against the purpose itself of the notwithstanding clause, which is to protect democracy from judiciary governance. If the federal government wants to amend the Constitution, that should be debated in our parliament and in the public space, not in court. Will the government withdraw its brief and stop using judges to undermine Quebec's parliamentary sovereignty? The Honourable Minister of Identity and Canadian Culture. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. With all due respect to my colleague, what she's saying is misinformed. The federal government's representations to the Supreme Court will not prevent provinces and territories from continuing to be able to use Section 33 of the Charter and using the notwithstanding clause. The Minister of Justice is sitting right next to me and would be happy to explain to her what we are suggesting as a process. We will always defend the rights and freedoms of Canadians. We are a Charter supporting party, always have been, always will be. Thank you. The Honourable Member for Rivière-du-Nord. Mr. Speaker, when the Liberals say that they're not attacking secularism before the Supreme Court, it's false. What they should be saying is that they're not only attacking secularism. By attacking the notwithstanding clause, they are also attacking the protection of the French language and signage in French. They're even attacking consensual matters such as protecting children's identities in otherwise public trials, or also attacking the absence of lawyers in small claims courts. They're attacking democracy. They're even attacking Quebec's model. Will they finally withdraw the challenge, Mr. Speaker? The Honourable Minister for Identity and Canadian Culture. Mr. Speaker, I'm a very proud Quebecer. There are many very proud Quebecers on this side of the House. We have been supporting Quebec for years, for decades, Mr. Speaker. What the member across the way is claiming is untrue. We are the first federal government to officially acknowledge the decline of the French language. We invested heavily to protect French. We're the first in history to invest in out-of-Quebec immigration targets for Francophone immigration. We increased the percentage. We are supporting and defending the French language. That's what we're doing on this side of the House, Mr. Speaker.
Hey, you're forcing it on people.
Calgary East. After 10 years of Liberals, food prices have skyrocketed 40%. This Prime Minister said he'd be different, and he's right. He's even more expensive than Justin Trudeau was. He's doubling the deficit, racking up the federal debt, and blocking anything that would help bring food prices to come down. Liberal inflation is making food prices 75% over the bank's target. Why doesn't this Prime Minister just get out of the way so Conservatives can pass common sense legislation like the Canada Sovereignty Act and actually bring down the cost of groceries?
Yeah, there you go.
The Honourable Secretary of State.
Shit's way too expensive, man.
Mr. Speaker, in the last election, Canadians had a clear choice between a leader that has economic and business experience versus a leader that has none. We are focused on affordability for Canadians, cutting taxes for 22 million Canadians. We are cutting the consumer carbon tax. We are cutting the GST for first-time home buyers. And we are going to build homes at a scale not seen since the Second World War. I ask the Conservatives to cut the rhetoric and get on board. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Calgary East. In the last election, Canadians were duped by a guy that's committing economic vandalism. This finance minister said he would bring down the cost of groceries Thanksgiving 2023. It's almost Thanksgiving 2025, and the cost of groceries has skyrocketed. It's like the cost of living crisis that they created, their solution to that is to spend even more than Trudeau did. Why doesn't this Prime Minister stop competing with Justin Trudeau for the most expensive Prime Minister in Canadian history and get out of the way so Conservatives can fix everything these guys broke? The Honourable Secretary of State for Financial Institutions.
Mr. Speaker, this last summer we crossed the country, went from coast to coast to coast, and the message from Canadians was resoundingly clear. They want us to spend less and invest more in national projects, invest more in building our country, bringing down interprovincial trade barriers, working together, Mr. Speaker. We have a plan to build the strongest economy in the G7. That is exactly what we're going to do. I ask the Conservatives to stop the rhetoric and get on board.
The Honourable Member for Haldimand Norfolk.
10 years of Liberal rule, and what do Canadians have to show for it? Soaring food prices, food insecurity, 4 million visits to food banks in Toronto alone last year. A quarter of Canadian households cannot afford to put food on the table. That is 40% higher than the year before. So, when will this Prime Minister stop obstructing Parliament and introduce a budget that lowers food prices?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
You know, Mr. Speaker, when Canadians are facing a hard time, they want a government that will invest in them. And today, as the Canadian Building Trades Unions visit us in Ottawa, celebrating the investments in major projects that are going to create great paying jobs for tradespeople all across this country, with a government that's focused on making sure that we cut taxes for individuals, 22 million Canadians, when making sure that Canadians have what they need. Canadians chose well, and they chose this government, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Haldimand Norfolk.
Canadians want a government that will deal with this affordability crisis. This crisis happened on their watch. This Prime Minister promised Canadians that they could judge him by the price of groceries. Well, the numbers are in. Apples are up 14%. Potatoes are up 16%. Canned food is up 26%. When will this Prime Minister stop obstructing Parliament and introduce a budget that will bring back food affordability to Canada?
Yeah. It's so expensive. Every time you go, you're looking at your receipt going,
Mr. Speaker,
shit.
Canadians are intelligent, and they knew better than to place their vote with the opposition, with Conservatives that were threatening, indeed voting against everything that was making their lives more affordable, whether it was a school food nutrition program, whether it was the Canada Dental Care Plan, whether it was investment in seniors, increasing supports for seniors, whether it was investments in infrastructure, Mr. Speaker. Time and time again, Conservatives voted against these measures. Canadians saw with their eyes they could not count on Conservatives to protect them.
The honourable member for Parry Sound, Muskoka.
After 10 years of Liberals, experts are now warning of up to 100,000 job losses in the housing sector by 2027. Builders are laying off their trained staff, even though the Prime Minister promised to double housing construction. Housing starts have stalled completely in the GTA and the Lower Mainland, where the housing crisis is the worst. In Ajax, housing starts are down 100%. Wow. Builders are praising our common sense plan to remove the GST on all homes under $1.3 million, saying it will restart home building. So why doesn't the Prime Minister want home builders building homes?
Good question.
The Honourable Minister for Housing and Infrastructure.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, to the member opposite, that's exactly why this government is committed to the most aggressive affordable housing program in our history. That's excellent. We need to focus on affordability. Canadians have spoken. Canadians have elected this government to deliver on affordability. With a tax cut, with a focus on affordable housing, we're seeing right out of the gate, Build Canada Homes focused on 4,000 homes in 6 cities across Canada, $1 billion into supportive housing, and 700 units of housing in Nunavut. We need to scale up. We expect their support.
The honourable member for Montmorency, Charlevoix. Mr. Speaker, after 10 years of this Liberal government, inflation is increasing. In fact, according to a Food Banks Canada report, 25.5% of households are struggling to put food on the table. We found out about a senior who has been working hard his whole life and can't even feed himself. I traveled through my riding this summer. I met hundreds of people, good people who work hard every day to put food on the table. Mr. Speaker, when will the Prime Minister stop obstructing Parliament and table a budget that will bring down food prices? The Honourable Government House Leader. Mr. Speaker, the member across the way knows full well that the budget will be tabled soon. We will be calling on his support for the budget. We have a plan to build Canada up, to create more job opportunities. We want to use our young people to succeed. We want to take advantage of Canada's expertise in aluminum and other sectors, and we will want his support. The Honourable Member for Montmorency, Charlevoix. After 10 years of these same old Liberals, requests for food aid are skyrocketing. In Montmorency, Charlevoix, my riding, like elsewhere in the country, food banks are facing an unprecedented increase in demand. There's been a 30% increase in food prices in just a year. Food Banks Canada has given Canada a mark of D for food insecurity. The Prime Minister said we could judge him based on grocery prices. Well, what's his grade? G for groceries or F for failure? The Honourable Government House Leader. The member across the way is new here. He likely hasn't had the opportunity to meet with his party's whip. His party's whip will tell him to vote against all supports for Canadians, to vote against food aid, food programs in schools, to vote against daycare, to vote against support for seniors, to vote against legislation to protect workers in Canada. The whip will tell him to vote against all of that. And the member across the way is going to learn that the hard way, Mr. Speaker. The Honourable Member for Lac-Saint-Jean. Mr. Speaker, there's been a shocking revelation from Radio-Canada. Members of organized crime groups are entering Canada on student permits in order to get rich through fraud, car theft, identity theft, and more. Once again, instead of taking responsibility, the Department of Immigration is burying its head in the sand. In the department's response to the news story, IRCC blamed universities, even though this is exclusively a federal government responsibility to screen people entering Canada, including screening international students. The Department of Immigration is responsible for this. When will it get to work and fight organized crime instead of blaming universities, Mr. Speaker? The Honourable Minister of Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Canadians gave us the mandate to restore the international student program and to bring our levels back to reasonable levels, and that's what we are doing. According to the latest numbers, there's been a decrease of 144,000 study permits granted. We want to protect foreign students and protect Canada as well. Thank you. The Honourable Member for Lac-Saint-Jean. Well, apparently the minister hasn't heard the Radio-Canada report. It's a matter of international crime. There are bandits profiting and exploiting Canada's laxity to make hundreds of millions of dollars. There are border services. Our border services, they know that the money is being used to strengthen criminal organizations in Côte d'Ivoire and even being used to finance terrorist activities. While Europe cracks down on the network it calls the African Mafia, Ottawa is treating this like a slight problem. It's quite obvious why Canada is a prime target. Will Ottawa finally take some responsibility? The Honourable Minister of Immigration. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. We are working to strengthen and reinforce our borders with more sophisticated fraud going on. We need more sophisticated tools to safely handle immigration. Our bill, C2, is before Parliament, and it will guarantee fairness in our immigration system. It will also improve treatment of asylum claims and immigration claims. We must protect the integrity of our system. And I urge all parliamentarians here to support us. Thank you.
Since the minister was appointed, many more people have been abused and defrauded by Canadian immigration consultants who contribute to the chaos in Canada's immigration system while the minister just lets them. Instead of taking advice experts have been giving for years, which is to make immigration consultants report to lawyers, the minister said, "This is fine," this summer, and doubled down on a system that is clearly not working. The Prime Minister chose an incompetent minister to sit in one of the most important files in government. Why?
The Honourable Minister of Immigration.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and I want to thank the Prime Minister for choosing me to be the Minister of Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship.
The cat lady from New York.
When I served as Nova Scotia's Minister of Immigration, protecting prospective newcomers from those who try to take advantage of them is critically important, and that is why we've established the College of Immigration and Citizenship Consultants to regulate consultants and protect the public, and this is something that we are very serious about, and we will ensure that it gets done.
The Honourable Member for Calgary Nose Hill.
The minister mentioned her record as immigration minister in a provincial government. During that time, a Nova Scotia auditor found that there were the following issues: no process to determine provincial labour market needs and assess whether those were being addressed by Nova Scotia's provincial nominee program, and none of the 8 recommendations from a 2020 fraud risk assessment had been implemented. So I'll ask the same question. Why did the Prime Minister put an incompetent minister into this position?
The Honourable Minister of Immigration.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Again, I want to thank the Prime Minister. In fact, I want to thank the people in Halifax West for electing me to this Parliament. I am here to do the best job I possibly can do with my experience, with my expertise, and with my love for Canada and love for Canadians. And we will continue to do that. As for my record as Minister of Immigration from 2013 to 2021 provincially, the record is clear. I would invite parliamentarians to go look at it. Thank you very much.
The Honourable Member for Richmond Hill South.
After 10 years of this Liberal government, our immigration system is in chaos. This summer, illegal border crossers claiming asylum surged by a staggering 277%. Most of them will be bogus. This has put massive pressure on housing, healthcare, and benefits across Canada, especially in Quebec. And what did the immigration minister do? Absolutely nothing. She enjoyed her summer vacation while our borders were left wide open. The Prime Minister promised to be different, but instead of fixing it, he let the situation spiral out of control while Canadians paid the price. Why did the Prime Minister appoint such an incompetent minister to one of the most important jobs who is making the crisis worse every single day?
Wow. That's pretty good. Not bad for a new guy.
Mr. Speaker, I'm not going to thank you for that question, but I will answer that question. I've spent my summer, a whole 10, 11 weeks, working 7 days a week without taking 1 day for vacation.
All I can imagine this chick saying is, "Hey, I'm
This
walking
government is
here."
intent on ensuring that our immigration system becomes sustainable as well as protecting our borders. That is why we have Bill C2 in front of us in Parliament, which will be an aid for us here, and I urge all parliamentarians to get on board and support it.
The Honourable Member for Newmarket Aurora.
this Liberal government, Canada's immigration system is broken. The Prime Minister promised he'd be different, but nothing has changed. The only way to stop illegal border crossers from abusing our asylum system is to end the incentives that turn it into a backdoor for economic migration. Yet the immigration minister has done nothing. Literally nothing all summer. So I ask again, why has the Prime Minister put a minister who is totally out of her depth and making things worse on one of the most important files in Cabinet?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I am a little puzzled and a little concerned about the tone coming from the opposition. We do not treat MPs and ministers in this House in this way. That minister is doing a fantastic job. Legislation before this Parliament that party needs to respond to that will clean up our immigration system. And while they're at it, they can perhaps answer for why in Cloverdale, Langley City, they are forcing temporary students to come campaign for them in by-election campaigns. Those are the questions the incompetent leader of the opposition and his party need to answer.
Whoa. I don't know about this, but I feel like I'm going to get a text about it in a few seconds here.
Mr. Speaker, the minister said she worked all summer, and the system is worse. Whoa. The Prime Minister promised that he'd be different, but illegal border crossers have been surging into Canada to abuse the asylum system all work, and the minister has done nothing to stop it. She hasn't strengthened the Safe Third Country Agreement. She hasn't reviewed the benefits they receive to put a stop to the ones that come into our country. She's let the asylum seekers become even worse, and the predecessor that she followed. The Prime Minister chose to be incompetent and chose an incompetent minister for the Cabinet. Why?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, our government is working hard to secure our borders. This morning I had the chance to meet with the president of the CBSA who advised that border crossings are down 60%, Mr. Speaker. We will strengthen our borders and even make investing more resources through security screenings, as well as quickly identifying and removing those who are inadmissible. We will hire 1,000 more RCMP and CBSA officers, Mr. Speaker. We have Bill C-2 in the House right now, Mr. Speaker. If this party opposite is serious about border crossings and immigration, then they should pass it swiftly, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Hamilton West, Ancaster, Dundas.
Mr. Speaker, Hamilton is proud to be Canada's steel city, with a long history of organized labor and skilled trades. Our country's industry, housing, and infrastructure, the foundations of our economy, have always been built by workers in the building trades. Could the Secretary of State for Labor update this House on how our government is supporting apprentices and helping workers get the training they need to literally build Canada's future?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Labour.
A good question, Mr. Speaker. I've been meeting with workers from Surrey to St. John's, including Canada's building trades unions. We're in town this week, and they all say the same thing. It's time to build. That's exactly what we're doing, Mr. Speaker. From major nation-building projects to building Canadian homes, Mr. Speaker, we're building big with Canadian steel, Canadian lumber, Canadian unionized workers. We're creating thousands of jobs and apprenticeship opportunities through the Union Training Innovation Program. Mr. Speaker, we're investing in training the next generation. Mr. Speaker, while the Conservatives talk down Canada, we're building Canada up with Canadian workers.
The Honourable Member for Kamloops, Thompson-Nicola.
The Public Safety Minister told the truth. It's true. He spoke about how this confiscation buyback is an incredible boondoggle. Now let's actually hear what he had to say. This is the mandate I was given by the Prime Minister to complete this and not revisit this. It sounds like he doesn't even believe in this. So if the Public Safety Minister doesn't believe in this program, why are we spending $742 million taxpayer dollars to keep it going?
It's costing that much money?
Public safety.
Mr. Speaker, I've addressed this issue a number of times, but let me just make it very personal, Mr. Speaker. The last 4 months in this role as Minister of Public Safety, I've received a great deal of vitriol from the gun lobby, Mr. Speaker. If you go into my social media accounts, you will see hundreds, if not thousands, of comments of hatred that's coming through the gun lobby, Mr. Speaker. What the party opposite is doing is reinforcing that. We have a serious plan to ensure that guns are off our streets. That's why we will be going forward and implementing this program, Mr. Speaker. I invite the party opposite to come on board and ensure that our streets are safe.
It's called criticism. You're being held accountable on social media.
It's always somebody else's fault, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah.
What this minister fails to mention is that in Bill C-5, he voted so that people who do drive-by shootings can serve their sentence on house arrest. Shame. People who do robberies with guns, house arrest, Mr. Speaker. Nobody wants a part of this program. Canada Post doesn't want a part of it. Local law enforcement doesn't want a part of it. OPP doesn't want a part of this $742 million boondoggle. The minister told us that he just has to put it to an end. So why are they still intent on having this program go forward when all he wants to do is end it?
Hear, hear. The Honourable Secretary of State for Combating Crime.
Mr. Speaker, the Conservatives constantly want U.S.-style politics here, whether it's the 3 strikes or your
Prime Minister texts regularly Trump.
Which
what the hell are you talking
would
about?
make legal again.
That's right.
Mr. Speaker, we've seen these policies fail in the U.S. and they won't work here either. Come up with some comprehensive, meaningful change, like the change that we're going to bring with bail reform and sentencing reform.
Here's the condescending Canadian bullshit, as if U.S.-style politics is a bad thing.
The Liberal gun grab scam unfairly targets law-abiding Canadians while giving criminals a free pass. This failed scam has been rejected by the police, the provinces, Canada Post, and now even their own public safety minister. In a leaked audio, he says that the Prime Minister pressured him. He admits that this plan won't work, and he even promised to pay his tenants bail if he's arrested. You can't make this up, Mr. Speaker. What they say in public versus what they say behind closed doors is totally the opposite. So if the minister won't stand behind his own plan, why should Canadians foot the $700 million bill for their scam?
There you go. And we're going to get some real change out of this. I can almost guarantee you.
For combating crime.
Mr. Speaker, we're moving forward in a responsible way to make sure that gun ownership in Canada is safe. There is no reason to have assault-style firearms on our streets or in our homes.
Right.
Mr. Speaker,
That's
we're
just
going to be
fear-mongering.
responsible. We're going to make sure that we don't have the gun crisis that we see in the United States just south of us. If
Here's the
conservatives had their
elitism.
way, they'd make guns free and legal for everyone.
Here's the elitism. I gotta pause it for a second. I'm so sorry, but I'm so sick of this shit in Canada. At least we're not like America, right? At least we don't have school shootings like America, right? At least we don't have gun violence like America, right? This is what Canada patriotism is founded on. It's gross. It's disgusting. It's up to you and me to break these shackles because it's stupid. It's stupid Canadian elitism. It's so dumb.
For York Centre.
Conservatives have been saying from day one that the gun buyback program is an awful idea. Law-abiding gun owners don't commit gun crime with lawfully purchased guns. Criminals commit gun crime. Gun criminals who terrorize our streets because of the Liberals' failure on law and order. We know that the OPP won't participate in the program. Canada Post won't participate in the program. Local police won't participate in the program. Now we learn that the Minister of Public Safety doesn't want to participate in it either. Why is this minister going ahead with a program that he doesn't want to participate in?
Hear, hear. The Honourable Secretary of State for Combating Crime.
Mr. Speaker, the Conservatives need to get serious about resolving and coming up with solutions when it comes to crime, when it comes to firearms in our country. When they were in government, Mr. Speaker, they cut funding to the RCMP, to our borders, and they would go back and make assault-style firearms legal in our country. If they cared so much about the safety of our nation, maybe their leaders should get a security clearance.
Oh my goodness.
Member for Vaughan Woodbridge.
leaked audio from the public safety minister revealed the truth. Not even he believes the Liberal gun confiscation program will work. He begged a law-abiding citizen, and I quote, "Don't ask me to explain the logic to you. He knows it's wrong." And he admits the Prime Minister is forcing him to ram this failed policy through, even though he knows it won't fix their soft-on-crime record. So, why is the minister still proceeding with this $742 million boondoggle when even he admits it's a failure?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. 35 years ago, I was shot by a legal gun-buying order, and since then, what Canadians want is assault-style firearms to get off our streets, and this is going to happen this year.
What the hell is
The
that?
Honourable Member for Charlesbourg-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, Liberal policies for student visas are chaotic in Canada and particularly in Quebec. They allow mafioso-type African criminals to get in, and there are people from Ivory Coast who have scammed Canadians out of money who are allowed to come to this country. What is the Prime Minister doing to fight this scourge of fake students who are criminals? The Honourable Minister. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Canadians have given us the mandate to reestablish the international student program at viable levels, and we're doing this. We also have Bill C2 before us in the Parliament, and to get the figures down and avoid spikes in demand, we are trying to strengthen our borders and make them more resilient. So I'd ask all parliamentarians to support this legislation. Thank you. The Honourable Member for Charlesbourg-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, I think that the Minister did not understand the issue. These were visas given to students, and 200 of them are Africans who are part of the mafia there. They're in Quebec. They are committing crimes, scams, car thefts, etc. This is an international ring that is now in Canada because of laxist Liberal policies on immigration. Can the Minister confirm that they will solve this problem of false student visas? The Honourable Minister of Immigration. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
It's a crime in Canada, regardless of what status they're on, will face consequences.
The IRCC is working with CBSA and all of our partners here to ensure.
Deport somebody, we will. That's CBSA's job. But again, we work with other government departments to ensure that Canadians are protected and that fraud is limited. Thank you very much.
The Honourable Member for Calgary Heritage.
Mr. Speaker, an administrative question for the Prime Minister. I went to check the Ministry of Foreign Affairs website to see what this new state he has announced might look like. There is no map. Can we expect the Prime Minister and the Minister of Foreign Affairs to upload a map of the borders of this so-called state? Could they identify its capital?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I respect the question. However, at this point, what I want to simply say is that there is no military solution to the conflict at hand. There's only a political solution, and in the vein of Lester Pearson, this side of the party will continue to work for peaceful solutions to ensure that Israel and Palestinians have safe and secure borders for each of them, so they will live in peace together. That is what this side of the House will work on. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Calgary Heritage.
The Palestinian Authority runs a program perpetuating generational, genocidal hate with pensions for terrorists who murder Jews. The PA, the PLO, and Fatah all embed terrorism into their institutions. The PLO founded the Al-Aqsa Martyrs Brigade, a listed terrorist entity responsible for the attacks on October 7th. If recognition of statehood is to have any real meaning, Will the Prime Minister designate this as a state sponsor of terrorism?
Oh, wow.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let me also state that Canada supports Israel and its right to defend its people every day. Let me also be clear, Hamas is a terrorist group. It must release hostages immediately. That have been held cruelly for 2 years. It
Then why
must
would you
disarm,
recognize
and
them?
it will play no role in the future governance of a Palestinian state. We will continue to defend the state of Israel, and we will continue to defend the people of Palestine to ensure we have 2 states with equal justice and equal rights to prosperity.
I think Carney said he was going to wait until
the honourable member
the
for
leadership
Terrebonne.
is figured out, and he didn't.
Mr. Speaker,
in
today
Gaza.
is the beginning of Gender Equality Week.
Super weird.
There has been progress made, and we need to remain firm in our commitment to strengthen gender equality for all Canadians. We want to build the strongest economy in the G7, and we need the total participation and active participation of women. Can the minister inform us about measures taken by this government to advance gender equality?
The Honourable Minister of Gender Equality.
Thank you very much for this question. We cannot build the strongest economy in the G7 without the participation of women fully. Thanks to our strategy for entrepreneurial women, we've been able to help more than 400,000 women across the country. And with our national action plan, we're taking action to fight feminicide. This week, we recognize the progress accomplished and our commitment to gender equality. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Parkland.
Mr. Speaker, in the last 4 months, $54 billion in investment has fled Canada, and that's in addition to nearly $500 billion lost in 10 years under this Liberal government. Now, the Prime Minister promised strength, but all that he's delivered is weakness. His oil and gas production cap is killing Canadian prosperity. Now, Conservatives today are calling for the end of this production cap. Will the Liberals keep their boot on the neck of our energy sector, or will they vote with Conservatives to axe the cap?
Good to see him back in the House. Really
Mr.
good.
Speaker, Canadians voted to strengthen our economy by growing our energy and natural resources industries while combating climate change. We will support innovation, increase our competitiveness, and attract billions of dollars of investment to get to net zero. Let me share something that the Premier of Alberta said just this weekend. I am more optimistic than ever that the concerns of Albertans are being heard. Perhaps the honourable member on the other side could give up his division and work with us to build Canada strong.
The Honourable Member for Red Deer.
Mr. Speaker, 10 years of Liberal policies aimed at killing our energy industry have shrunk our economy and driven up unemployment. This Prime Minister promised he'd be different, but instead, it's more of the same. Alberta's energy industry has powered and enriched this nation for decades. But if the production cap stays, there will be no pipelines, and Canada will remain at the mercy of U.S. and other foreign interests. Will the Liberals vote for our Conservative motion to eliminate the Liberal job-killing energy cap, or will they continue obstructing getting Canada built?
The Honourable Minister of Energy and Natural Resources.
Mr. Speaker, we're focused on results that enhance our climate competitiveness. Our government, Alberta, and industry agree. Building a responsible, competitive oil and gas industry is part of the grand bargain. As someone who spent my career making deals, I know you don't get things done by speaking in public. But let me share something with the honourable member. His Premier said this weekend, I'm more optimistic than ever that the concerns of Albertans are being heard. We'd appreciate you getting on board, end the division, get the unity together, and build Canada strong.
Yeah, it's just not going to happen. The premiers are not all aligned on this.
Canada's oil and gas emissions cap will continue to devastate jobs in the energy sector and make life more expensive for Canadians. The Parliamentary Budget Officer estimates that the emissions cap will cut our GDP by about $20.5 billion annually and eliminate 54,000 more jobs by 2032. This Prime Minister promised he would be different, but those promises have been broken, Mr. Speaker. Will the Prime Minister support the Conservative motion to repeal the gas and oil emissions cap, or will he and the Liberals continue to be obstructive?
Great question.
The Honourable Minister of Energy and Natural Resources.
Mr. Speaker, the grand bargain is about taking transformative steps to dramatically reduce our emissions and put new cards in Canada's hand that increase our competitiveness. That has the potential to create thousands of good-paying jobs and careers and create a world-leading clean tech ecosystem that exports our innovation around the world. As I said, the Premier of Alberta said this weekend, I'm more optimistic than ever that the concerns of Albertans are being heard. I would invite the honourable member across the aisle to get with us and build Canada strong.
The Honourable Member for Labrador.
Mr. Speaker, for too long, northern communities like those in my own riding of Labrador have had to rely on diesel-generated electricity to keep the lights on at costs that are too high. Can the minister share with this House how our new government is replacing diesel with dependable, clean power in the north while helping communities build the sustainable future they deserve?
Good question. The Honourable Minister of Northern and Arctic Affairs.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank the member Labrador for this question. Mr. Speaker, our new government is supporting Indigenous-led transitions from diesel to dependable clean power. Wow. In Yukon, Kluane First Nation wind and battery project provides about half the community's power and saves over 300,000 liters of diesel a year. Wow. In Nunavut, the Inuit-led Sanikuluak wind project will replace up to 70% of local diesel use. Project by project, we are delivering cleaner, more affordable power across the north.
The honourable member for Beauce. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to go back to last Friday's question. The Liberal government announced it's building 4,000 new homes at the cost of $13 billion. That's $3.2 million per door. With $3.2 million in Beauce, we could build 15 homes, not one. We could build more than 4,000, and with 13,000, we could build 20,000 homes, not 4,000. The math doesn't add up. With the Liberals, it always costs more and more and more. Mr. Speaker, thank you for this question.
The Conservatives are already getting the math wrong. That's right. And we need to set this straight. Build Canada Homes will have $13 billion to invest in affordable housing across the country. We have a number of projects to launch that with, 4,000 homes in 6 cities across the country, 700 homes in Nunavut, as I mentioned earlier, and $1 billion into supportive transitional housing. That'll be roughly 5,000 homes for people who are homeless or at risk of homelessness. We're going to see tens of thousands of homes across Canada built. We look for your support on the budget. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Winnipeg Centre.
Mr. Speaker, this weekend, thousands of people across Canada joined Draw the Line protests to send the Prime Minister a very clear message. Enough is enough. Why? Because the Prime Minister and Cabinet are pushing through legislation and measures violating the rights of workers, violating the rights of Indigenous peoples, violating the rights of migrants, while undermining gender equality, civil liberties, disability justice, and environmental protection. So my question through you, Mr. Speaker, is why is the Liberal government bulldozing over our Constitution to fast-track their corporate agenda?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Mr. Speaker, I'm not sure what the question is in all of that, but what I can say is this government was elected, Mr. Speaker, to focus on Canadians, to be pragmatic, to stand up for Canada, to make sure people had great jobs, to make sure that Canadians can count on their government when things are tough. And that's exactly what we're doing day in and day out, Mr. Speaker. We're focused on what Canadians need, what they're telling us they want to invest in. We've got an ambitious plan, Mr. Speaker, and we're acting on it.
That is all the time we have for question period today.
Oui, c'est ça, c'est vrai.
No, that's it, eh?
It being 3:07,
The House will now proceed.
Oh, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. There you go. That's the end of question period, huh? That was pretty good. Things were pretty spicy. I enjoyed that one. That was a pretty good episode. Hope you guys had fun too. I think we might keep going. Actually, we're gonna keep streaming. So all I ask is for you guys to just hit the like button on the stream and subscribe to the channel. But I think there's some other news that I want to take a look at in America specifically that I didn't really have a chance to do before question period began. But for those that are tuning out right now, thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you tomorrow, same time. For those that want to continue going, let's take a look at some stuff, because this is pretty interesting here. So Hamas issued an urgent plea in a personal letter to Trump because they don't want to get carpet bombed. They don't want to be turned into glass. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. I don't know. But things are picking up, and countries, terrorists, organizations around the world are starting to realize that Trump ain't messing around. And that's what's so unique and so great about America right now. Let's have a look.
Hard to believe, but it's been nearly 2 years. 2 years since Hamas terrorists brutally murdered more than 1,200 innocent Israelis. It was October 7th, with 48 still being held hostage right now. President Trump warns time is running out to get a deal done. Now Fox is exclusively learning about Hamas's direct appeal in a letter to the president. They want President Trump to step in. What is that deal? Fox News chief foreign correspondent Trey Yingst has details. He joins us live for an update from Israel. Trey, what could you tell us?
Yeah, hey, Brian, good morning. Fox News has learned from a senior Trump administration official and a second source directly involved in the negotiations that Hamas has drafted a personal letter to President Trump asking him to guarantee a 60-day pause in the fighting in exchange for immediately releasing half of the hostages being held inside Gaza. We understand this letter is currently with the Qataris and is expected to be delivered to the president this week. Remember, there are still 48 hostages being held by the terror group inside the Gaza Strip. It's estimated around 20 are believed to be alive. And the negotiations were moving forward. But earlier this month, the Israelis launched airstrikes against Hamas inside the Qatari capital of Doha. They have been stalled ever since. But officials hope this letter will help to jumpstart the conversations and ultimately get President Trump directly involved to try and reach an agreement to get the hostages home and end this war.
It's interesting that, do you think on some level, Hamas, who follows media closely, has noticed the relationship the hostages and their families have
Possibly.
with the American president? Is that part of the strategy here?
Absolutely. Look, Hamas and everyone in the Middle East understands that President Trump is a deal maker. He wants to see an agreement that would ultimately end this conflict, bring the hostages home, alleviate the suffering for Palestinian civilians, and stabilize the Middle East. And President Trump has been very clear since the October 7th massacre that we saw here on the ground in Israel that he wants peace in the Middle East. We saw the Abraham Accords, and ultimately the hope here in the region is that if a ceasefire is reached inside Gaza, you not only bring the hostages home, alleviate the sufferings for civilians, but enter into a new chapter where more deals can be made to have some level of stability across the region.
How significant is it that they feel as though they're better off dealing with President Trump than Netanyahu?
It's significant. And look, the president has been able to bring a lot of wars to a close around the world. He's been able to de-escalate a lot of tension in the region. There are conversations taking place with Syrian leadership right now to reach some sort of normalization agreement with Israel. But his Middle East team, specifically Steve Witkoff and Adam Bowler, have been leading the charge here to try to get some sort of agreement together. The war in the Middle East, specifically inside the Gaza Strip, has been going on for more than 700 days. The president has met directly with the families of these hostages that are being held by the terrorist organization inside Gaza, some of them in the tunnels beneath Gaza. He's also talked about the need to bring people together and bring people to the table. And so it's a challenging path forward here, understanding the regional tension following these Israeli strikes against the Qatari capital, targeting Hamas there. But also, there are questions about how this war will come to a close. Israeli forces right now are battling Hamas on the ground inside Gaza, focusing on the largest city in the Gaza Strip. but they're also looking at the possibility of expanding operations. And we've seen the demonstrations here in Israel, thousands of people in the streets of Tel Aviv and Jerusalem demanding a deal. And you see the signs that they are holding. They are pleading with President Trump to use his negotiating power to reach an agreement.
Last question real quick on leverage. President knows all about leverage. Is it because they're closing in on Gaza City that the Hamas is doing this Hail Mary? I know they wouldn't use that term. Or do they feel fortified by countries like France saying, I recognize the existence of a Palestinian state? Who's got leverage?
Look, the Israelis have some level of leverage. They have ground forces deep inside Gaza, and they have a number of tank units with air support. They are striking the Gaza Strip so heavily every day that sometimes you can hear it in cities like Tel Aviv, nearly 40 miles to the north of the Gaza Strip. But when we look at the situation on the ground, we also have to look at the negotiating table, and that's where President Trump has leverage. He's made comments in recent days saying he does not want to see Hamas in control of Gaza, and he wants to see the hostages released.
Exclusively, just to recap, a letter directly to Trump in the hands of Qatar that should be at the 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, or where the president's going to be on Tuesday in New York. Trey, thanks so much. I know this is your day off, but I know this story is important, and nobody better to deliver it. Thank you, Trey Inks. Appreciate it.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
There you go, man. There you go. Stuff is happening. We're going to have to wait and see how that one plays out. That's not the only terrorist organization, though, that's starting to come around and realize that President Trump is not messing around. The Taliban has also been put on notice by President Trump. That's pretty interesting. And the exact quote is, bad things are going to happen.
All right. Meanwhile, President Trump wants Bagram Air Base in Afghanistan returned to the U.S. It was lost to the Taliban during the Biden administration's disastrous withdrawal 4 years ago.
Lucas Tomlinson is in Washington with those details. Hey, Lucas.
Good morning, Charlie, Rachel, and Griff. President Trump issuing a new warning to the Taliban, promising harsh consequences if Afghanistan does not return Bagram Air Base to the U.S. military. The president posting this, quote, "If Afghanistan doesn't give Bagram Air Base back to those who built it, the United States of America, bad things are going to happen." Now, Bagram was first built by the Soviets back in the 50s. Later, it was expanded during the 1980s during the Soviet-Afghan War. It wasn't until after 9/11 that the base came into the possession of the U.S. military, used as a hub of operations against the Taliban and al-Qaeda, of course. The base stood strong for decades until it was abandoned under the Biden administration when it was turned over to Afghan forces when the U.S. withdrew
What a stupid move
secretly
that
in the
was.
middle of the night back in 2021. And just a month later, it was captured by the Taliban on the same day Kabul fell. Now the president saying this about Bagram last night.
Mr. President, you mentioned in your remarks at the press conference something about Bagram and bringing it back to the U.S.
I'd like to get Bagram back. And there was gross incompetence to give that up. You know, it's one of the most powerful bases in the world in terms of runway strength and length. The strength and length. You can land anything on there. You can land a planet on top of it.
It's not clear when U.S. forces could return to Afghanistan. And guys, I've been your backup anchor now for about 2 hours here in Washington. I've been getting paid to watch the show. Easiest money I've ever made, guys.
All right, Lucas Tomlinson doing a great job there.
Thank you, Lucas.
So this is pretty interesting, and didn't see this coming, but there were many that argued way back during the disastrous withdrawal that this was a bad idea. The significance of Bagram Air Base so close to neighboring the neighborhood that it sits in. So the Washington Post, in an editorial, has this headline, and they write this: "A U.S. return to Bagram isn't a bad idea. The abandoned airfield in Afghanistan was once a symbol of American power. Trump wants it back." And I think the thinking could be, I don't know, and President Trump could have speak directly to it, is that it was strategic not only because ISIS-K continues to fight with the Taliban to this day, so we would have a presence there to lean into that, but also its proximity to China.
Yes, the proximity to China is an important point, right, Charlie?
Yeah, and I love that it still really makes President Trump really, really mad that all that money was lost when Joe Biden managed to create that catastrophe
of a withdrawal.
Yeah, he still talks about the weapons and the vehicles. Some of those weapons, by the way, ending up in, being shipped off and used there in Afghanistan, but also sent to other.
Sold?
Yeah, sold to other, and that's ours. And President Trump was absolutely, disgusted with how that ended.
And rightly so.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kill.
Holy smokes, man. Trump is making some moves. Trump is making some moves around the world. And it's pretty cool to see, man. As a Canadian, it's pretty freaking cool to see. What's not cool to see is when Trump talks about Canada in this way right now.
Is there any use at all in pressuring Israel now to come to some sort of longer-term solution? Well, you could make the case that you're rewarding people, that, you're rewarding Hamas if you do that. And I don't think they should be rewarded. So I'm not in that camp, to be honest. We'll let you know where we are, but I am not in that camp.
Mr. President,
because if you do that, you really are rewarding Hamas. And I'm not about to do that. Is there any use?
Yeah, this was a big mistake. Canada should have never, ever, ever classified Palestine as an independent state, not without the approval of America. This is weird. You're seeing Canadian elitism firsthand on display. I've been saying this for a very long time, that Canada's identity, Canada's nationalism, right? Proud to be Canadian, is rooted since birth by our media, by our politicians, by our culture as being anti-American. Not, hey, we're proud to be from the North. We're strong. We're free. We're Canadians. We talk a little funny, eh? It's not that. It's, hey, at least we don't have school shootings. At least we don't have this. At least we have better gun laws. At least with this, at least that. Universal health care. It's weird. It's disgusting. And because of that mentality, because the politicians are basically under audience capture, right? The Liberals and the Conservative Party of Canada, they're under this like umbrella that they're forced. They feel that they're forced to say and do certain things, to stick to a certain narrative that's existed for a very long time. They're not deviating from the path. You're seeing Canadian elitism on full display, and it's gross. It's very gross. But I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. And today was a good stream. Question period was awesome. The entirety of the stream right up until now was phenomenal. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Thank you so much. It was awesome for you guys to be part of the chat. As always, if you haven't yet already, I know it's repetitive, I know it's silly, I know it's stupid, but just drop a like on the stream and subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet already. And we'll be back same time tomorrow for some more news recap and for question period. Bye for now.